Hello, welcome back. It's time to listen to Mom. So, while I was away on a family trip, I watched a very, strange but interesting zombie film called Outside. It was on Netflix. It looks like it came out mid-October, so not too long ago. If you know me, I'm a big zombie fan, and I will literally watch any zombie film, whether it's good or whether it's bad. This is actually a foreign film made in the Philippines, and it is in a different language. You can watch the dub, but the dub is it's pretty bad. So the question is this a bad movie or a good movie in terms of zombies? Well, it has some good elements, but also a ton of pacing problems. The vision towards the end is very clear on what this film is, which makes it probably worth watching in my opinion. But for those that don't like that slow crawl to build up to it, then it's going to be very much hated. You got to kind of get through that hard part, and that sucks. Now, again, I might spoil a few things here because the plot is slowly revealed on what is the big subject matter, and it's a very big serious topic involving families and what families do in terms of really bad situations. You'll notice I'm trying to skirt around the word because if you know what I mean, then you know what I mean. Let's discuss and set the stage here though. Let's set the stage and I think you'll understand a bit more. So we follow this family around, the Abel family, Abel, composed of Francis. So if I mispronounce any of their names, I apologize. His wife is Iris and their sons Joshua and Lucas. They're essentially fleeing a zombie outbreak from the city. They arrive at Francis's parents' mansion on a sugarcane plantation. Francis finds his father and servant have been unalived after being infected, and his mother is a reanimated zombie. So after eliminating his mother, Francis and his family settle into the house. It is later revealed that Francis is traumatized by being locked up and pretty much, by a bad situation as a child by his father. Notice I'm trying to cover that. You get what I'm getting at here. At the same time, his marriage is also in shambles because there is trouble after he discovers that Iris has been unfaithful to him and that his elder brother Diego is Joshua's biological father. So yes, there is a lot at stake here and there's a lot of problems. This sets the whole stage of the film. The tension is all family related and finding a place due to this virus. But the zombies, while super interesting, are never quite covered. Now when I say they're interesting, it's because they are able to speak a specific word or say something, which never really takes much place in the film. I kind of thought it might lead up to something, and maybe I might have missed it, but I wish that it kind of took a little bit more focus as well. Now, this takes the main stage is, again, the family problems and the fact that Francis does not want to leave his wife. He wants to kind of just make it seem like everything is normal. But it's even harder to be normal when the end of the world kind of clearly says that, hey, it's the end of times. It's a piece that is so serious in tone, and it reminds me of one of those old Lifetime movies. It's just a little dramatic, a little over dramatic, I guess you can say. The concept can be really slow at the start, but at the end it's like, oh, okay. I felt like this was kind of worked backwards to where the director or writer knew this is what they wanted, and they kind of worked backwards on the problem building up to it. So what we're going to do now is discuss the zombies, because I think they're pretty interesting. Like we had mentioned, they have speaking of their last maybe memory or word, but it's not really that important. We could replace the situation with almost anything else in the story, and this current story could still exist, which could be also the point. I mean, the zombies are more of a backdrop. We could honestly just remove, again, the whole zombie situation, tension, and again, it's just about the family. Essentially, the zombie situation has escalated the situation to the forefront. Maybe the situation probably would have occurred maybe a couple years later, essentially, maybe 5 years later, maybe 10. That kind of goes back to my prior video that I've done here on the channel where people are the problem in the zombie apocalypse. The concept that money doesn't solve problems or make people happy, it only makes situations like this much worse. That's really the crux of everything here, is that everything was already existing. If people are good people, they'll continue to be good. If they're bad, well, they're going to be even worse. It's an interesting concept though, with just more time needed to bake out the story and really kind of have a more natural lead up. It's like they were trying a little too hard to be natural with it by not putting it at the forefront, which I can respect and kind of have you uncover it. It's why I felt like some of it might be spoilers by giving you that synopsis. But I mean, you're going to read it when you look at Netflix anyways, because they had to give it to you. And I feel like this could have been a cult classic. It could be critically acclaimed. But if I'm praising it so much, what are the problems? Is that the problems are, I mean, it's just, again, that lead up. It has a lot of holes in the way they're explaining things. It doesn't feel like there's a real attention to detail and how things work in the world of post-apocalyptics with the zombies and having that be what's stopping them in the struggle. Sometimes characters don't really have weapons out when they're trying to fight zombies. Sometimes things are like, how long is that supposed to last? It just feels like the world around it it's just circumstantial, where it's like, I guess it's kind of important, but not really. Now, this could be production, this could be budget, this could be how it was directed, it could be how it was written. It's very tough to say, but the cinematography also feels very uninspired, and the fear factor is just not there, because the characters, I mean, they're kind of afraid of it, but it's not shot in a great way to have that fear. They do have some really interesting scenes that I haven't quite seen in some zombie movies, I guess you can say. They do try some single takes. It just doesn't really work because the film sometimes feels a little too clean, and they definitely try to dirty up the sets, and the way it's shot just does not fit. It's almost like the lens is just too high resolution. I'll give an example where 28 Days Later really succeeds with this, is where the camera is just kind of old, so it kind of gives off this like, oh, we're post-apocalyptic, we don't have technology, things are a bit of a struggle. And with that, because of that, the acting doesn't really hit perfectly either. I mean, the effort is clearly there, but you kind of have to look past all that and then get into the third quarter. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the movie The Battery, which we covered here, which is a very low budget film. The idea is there, but the lead up clearly needed to be workshopped. And the problem is that if you don't like the lead up, then the last quarter is just not going to work for you at all. You know, I mean, again, the effects don't feel too cheap. You know, it's pretty solid. I feel like if Hollywood were to take over this film and do a remake, it's really just about the early pacing, and you would have to redo the pacing early on. And I feel like also when Hollywood takes things over, that they'll mess up that overall final message. I feel if it was remade, they could try and go a safe route to be more accessible, but that's the problem. It runs into the same problem such as the most recent horror film Speak No Evil had, where they rewrite the ending, and so viewers don't get super offended, or they don't feel as shocked and awed about what's going on. And that's what I appreciate about this film, is that it had ambition, and I appreciate and respect that, because in modern film, most people are afraid to take chances and try something new. And so I'm giving it more praise, and that I think in modern cinema, we need to see more of that. Art is meant to push boundaries on social subjects, things that make us feel uncomfortable. And let me give a better example. We don't always need diversity. We don't always need certain things. Sometimes the harsh story in front of us is just what needs to be told. Sometimes we do need diversity, sometimes we don't. At the end of the day, it's really just about the characters that really make the piece, and this is really a character-driven story, and you have to be invested into those characters. It's why I made a video just kind of wanting to explore this, because I was like, you know what? This is definitely one of the more interesting movies that I've seen this year, that it's just kind of, it's going to go under the radar. Nobody's going to watch it really, but it really hits like, this is, I think, more of what we need. On all spectrums, you know, on all angles, that we just need to see art and those character-driven pieces come to the forefront. And I want to see that more in 2025, of whether it's a zombie film or not. So again, we're still pretty new on YouTube, so if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate all of you guys for watching. And we have a lot of shorts here on the channel that are about facts, and I kind of want to cover a new zombie series that came out on Amazon. I heard it hasn't done too well, and I wonder in comparison how that compares to just this low budget, I mean, I consider it low budget, Netflix release. So thank you guys again. See you guys all in the next one.